They allow the United States to remain globally engaged with partners and ensure our access wherever our nation's interests might dwell. While our ships are mobile and able to surge on short notice, it is our persistent forward presence that allows for the speed and flexibility of response the nation has called upon repeatedly over the last 2 decades, and most recently in Libya and Japan. Off Libya, deployed ships and submarines broke off their patrol and maritime ballistic defense missions to deliver Tomahawk missiles against radar and command and control sites, creating in short order the conditions under which a no-fly zone could be imposed. Off Japan, the deployed Ronald Reagan Strike Group responded immediately to a natural disaster there, with helicopter flights to deliver humanitarian aid and medical capabilities, with nuclear expertise and heavy lift to participate in the relief effort. Our recent history, current events, and ongoing operations indicate that the demand for the capability and capacity to respond across the range of possible operations may well increase in coming years. Developments in the broader Middle East are still evolving, where our presence in those seas is so important, and our demonstrated maritime commitment to the nations of the Western Pacific adds stability to the only region where countries with unresolved disputes are building world-class navies. There should be little surprise among this group that our attention is drawn to presence in the crucial sea lanes of these 2 regions and to the normative and international legal underpinnings of that presence in the UN Convention on the Law of the Sea. We tend to focus on anti-access and area denial capabilities development, but anti-access practices in the maritime domain are also expanding. Today, some 35 countries claim territorial water type jurisdiction over exclusive economic zones, contrary to customary law. And as you might imagine, many of these anti-access practices relate to resource extraction. A new venue for global resource competition is also opening in the Arctic, what we refer to when discussing the impact of climate change as the opening of the 5th ocean, something that hasn't happened since the end of the Ice Age. Efforts are already underway, and not just among the Arctic nations, to seize the economic potential of a region that is estimated by the U.S. Geological Survey to contain around 22% of the world's oil and natural gas resource base. Our Navy has been positioned exceedingly well to answer the nation's needs as a joint, interagency, and international partner in a more networked world. But forward presence requires fuel. Whether we see the new energy options we pursue today to fruition will affect how well we contend with growing operational demand. At the same time, the sustainability of our force is confronted in new ways. We've been pushing our current fleet hard for the last decade to conduct varied and simultaneous operations on a continuous basis. And the challenges which make this time different for our Navy persist in the form of new fundamentals that we will not be able to address by staying wedded to our past. These new fundamentals in the fields of manpower and procurement and research and development and information technologies will inform what is possible and likely require disruptive change to accommodate. Energy forms a critical element in our response to these realities. From the operating cost reductions we aim for with hybrid electric drives and drop-in fuel alternatives to long-duration, shipboard-safe, unmanned underwater vehicle power that we are currently researching aggressively. Beyond fuel alternatives for total ownership cost reduction, energy access and security considerations have informed the Navy's pursuit of unmanned integration into the fleet we have today, and the institutionalization of our Navy's already considerable information dominance capabilities for military competitions that now extend well into the domain of cyberspace. And while not yet upon us, the challenge posed by the widespread surface combatant and submarine retirements of the 2020s will remind us that our nation's shipbuilding industrial base, to include second and third tier suppliers and nuclear as well as conventional suppliers, must be included as partners in bringing to the fleet the new energy solutions we need to secure America's asymmetric advantages for an uncertain future. While we stand little chance as a single service of making a new energy market in the near term, we have shown the foresight, once again, to be a motive force in wider technological advancements, to be the early adopters of energy solutions that carry with them the prospects to reimagine the capacity with which we execute the core capabilities of our Navy. This is important because the first and foundational aspect of how America answers its responsibilities and its obligations of international leadership are through sea power. American sea power must remain credible globally, as it has been since the late 19th century, and dominant as it has been for the last 7 decades. And it must assure allies and enduring partners if it is to prevent war. The Secretary of Defense recently reminded an audience of college graduates how many countries seek deeper ties with the United States through our military. How in the midst of some of the most pressing economic challenges and the most important domestic decision points this nation has faced since it assumed the mantle of leadership, more countries in the world than ever look to us for leadership than ever before. If we're not to disappoint our friends, not to miss the opportunity that remains to set the international system on a path to greater peace in this century, America must come to terms with how it will afford the price of responsibility. Will we make the tough decisions to lay bare the prevailing currents of national strategy and apply the resources at hand to our lasting advantage? Or will we try to buy more time to decide, and in the process, divest the unique American endowments we speak of, because none of us remembers a time before we were able to, at will, to advance our interests globally by the dint of presence, access, and dominance at sea. Energy efficiency, energy alternatives, energy independence as tactical imperatives with the most pervasive strategic implications reside at the heart of how America will afford its future leadership. Navy's direction in the field of energy should serve as yet another indication of where the price of responsibility has been set and what options real energy security tomorrow might unveil with which our great nation might navigate this period of change and challenge as successfully as it has in the past. Thank you very much, and I look forward to your questions. Yes, sir.
Admiral, my name is Steve Mercilus from Cape Cod. I have a question about, do you see our country and our Navy more effectively addressing and limiting and controlling